She is so gorgeous. Hi, baby. I know. I'm sorry. I'm afraid this will be overkill. So you guys know I'm all about Hi guys, good afternoon. My name's Josh Halter. I am the owner and founder of the Biodude. I really hope you guys are having a great day today, because today we have part 2 of how to build a bioactive habitat from start to finish, cover what we recommend for husbandry for ball pythons. And there is so much information out there about ball pythons. There's so many ways people keep them. So today in this video, we're going to show you the way that we like to approach their husbandry and some of the great things that we see out of these snakes when given this type of husbandry. So let's get started. Here, you guys saw me build the background. So you can see the cork has completely dried and attached. It's been about 5 days. After we filmed the video, the only thing that we had to do was put a little bit of silicone here on the top. So that way you can see, and that is just also to reinforce it after it's already been dried, and also to make sure we don't get any gaps at the top. What's also nice about this is it was really easy just to take this lid off. So just to make our lives easier for escaping today, we're gonna leave this lid off, and then after the tank's done and everything, we'll show you what the finished product looks like, as well as going over all heating and lighting. So you guys, you have a lot of stuff in front of me. We have a whole bunch of wood, we have some UVB bulbs, we have heat bulbs, we have thermostats, biodegradables, dirt. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into the building, and then we'll cover all the basics thereafter. So this is a 4x2x2. You know, a 4x2x2 is an acceptable habitat for an adult. Now, if we're talking like a baby who is maybe, 2 feet long, you can get away with a 40 breeder, which is 36x18x18. And those are also available in all commercial sizes. And then if you have a baby that we're maybe, 12 inches long and we still haven't hit that 24-inch mark, an 18 cube, which is 18x18x18, is a really good starter size for young neonatal snakes. Keeps them nice and confined. You're able to get those nice temperature gradients in there still. And that is what we like to recommend. We have a lot of keepers sometimes go bigger. We have some customers come in here and put their ball pythons in a 6x2x2. The biggest thing is their area where they live in Central and Western Africa is heavily impacted by the agricultural human footprint. So ball pythons are extremely hardy and they're highly adaptable. And this is what has made them such a good snake for many levels of keepers. But their care is intermediate. And that is because they need a hot spot. They need humidity gradients and temperature gradients. And when you have a bioactive habitat, it is a lot easier to reinforce those things and that high level of adaptability that I mentioned earlier. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I got my Terra Firma. For 4x2x2, we like to use 4 36-quart bags. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Firma and I'm going to put it right in here. Now, we did go ahead and already incorporate some of my BioShot into this substrate. And we're going to be making sure that as we get building and as we do this, that we slope the substrate up in the back. If there was any feedback I'd give to Vivarium Electronics, guys, this is an amazing habitat and the price point is really, really competitive with what's out on the market. I just wish with this glass bottom that they made this substrate lip another 3 inches taller. Other than that, this is an amazing habitat and you can compensate that in the back. Let's get the final thing of substrate in here. Okay. Now with these guys being from Central and Western Africa and, liking a hot spot of about 90 degrees with a cool side of about 70, with that varying humidity, it's really important that they're going to have access to these different zones. And the substrate's going to play a big role with that. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our sphagnum moss here. And I know that my heat bulb is going to be right here. I'm going to want to make sure that not only does the hot side have a really nice humid area, but the cool side does too. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put an initial base layer of sphagnum moss right in here. Now, depending on where you live, it can vary. We don't need near as much sphagnum moss to maintain a high humidity because we're in Houston. It's tropical weather here, right? But when I lived in Pennsylvania, I would have to use a significant amount more of moss to be able to facilitate relative humidity because it's so dry in Pennsylvania. The next thing that we have is a whole bunch of leaf litter. So I have Colombian leaf litter here, and I'm actually going to take a good amount of this cacao, and I'm actually going to put some of this in here to get started. Now, what I like about the cacao is it lasts a long time. Now, if you buy any of our leaves from the Biodude that come from other countries, meaning it's not magnolia, it's not live oak, these leaves are boiled, baked. So they are 100% guaranteed to be free of anything. However, if you're buying leaves like this from any vendor, I don't care if you buy it from me, I don't care who. You need to take extensive steps to clean these leaves. So this is the secondary cleaning that I'm doing. These leaves have already been boiled and good to go. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go right like this. And then I am also gonna add in some more different type of textures, which is our banana leaves. Now you notice that I'm using a whole bunch of different types of biodegradables. Now the reason you want to have an assortment of different biodegradables is because some different types of biodegradables last different lengths of time. Some of them are more fibrous, such as our banana leaves. Isopods love fibrous things. And the thicker the leaves, the thicker the biodegradables, it can also create microbial hotspots in your soil. Now, what's really important is when you have your BioShot thoroughly mixed in with your substrate that is already mixed in here, what the BioShot is going to do is, well, is forming symbiotic relationship with your plant roots to help your plants grow big and strong and to prevent them from going into shock. What this is also going to do is when it's mixed into the soil is also play a big role with aerating. Because with how thick and dense this is, with how long they're gonna last compared to a little leaf like this, or compared to a cacao leaf that the isopods are just gonna munch out and, you know, break apart pretty quickly, these are gonna play a really large role with just keeping your soil healthy for a lot longer and essentially helping provide the fuel that's gonna drive the car. And I'm gonna put another box in here. One of the most common questions that we get is, Biodude, how often do I need to replace the biodegradables? So let's go back to the Pennsylvania-Texas analogy when it comes to the sphagnum moss. That is going to be different for every single person. You know, sometimes in other areas of the world, your biodegradables may degrade a little faster because your humidity swings are a little bit more constant because of how you're maintaining your habitat. Every once in a while, just put your fingers in deep in the soil, and then you'll be able to get a good look of how well your soil is doing, as well as how your biodegradables are holding up. So now that I have the BioShot in here, I have a whole bunch of leaf litter, and I have some really nice thick banana leaves in here to help aerate the soil and to help create those microbial hot zones. It's now time to mix everything up. So what I do is I work from the front to the back, especially when I'm dealing with cages like this that have these glass tracking systems in them. While you're mixing, you want to just pay close attention to where the majority of your sphagnum moss is going, and to also make sure that your biodegradables are thoroughly mixed up with your soil. Okay, now that everything here is mixed together, I'm really happy with how my biodegradables are, nice and layered. I'm going to take a little bit more substrate, and I'm just going to do a light topping like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a very light layer on top. Now, I am all for having the leaves be available, but the leaves benefit the soil way more if they're mixed in than just sitting on top. And that also makes your isopods continue to do work. Burrowing, sifting through your soil, all of those things. And then I know where my spots are gonna be. I'm gonna put just a tiny bit more spag here and a tiny bit more spag here. I maybe used half of a 6-quart bag of spag moss for this entire 4x2x2. Obviously, what's really nice is you can, with your thermometer, hygrometer, after you get good humidity readings, after it's been going for a while, it's really easy to be like, oh, I got to add a little bit more spag because my humidity is dropping. Start low and work your way up, okay? When it comes with things that create humidity. It's a lot easier to add things that create humidity than remove it, especially in an enclosed terrarium. Now for an adult ball python, they can get pretty thick, right? So it's really important that you have substrate deep enough to facilitate the size of your snake. Now, I think the next thing I'm gonna do is start incorporating some of my larger plants that I'm gonna build around. So here we have a money tree. So you don't wanna use money trees for omnivores. You don't wanna use money trees for herbivores. But when it comes to ball pythons, this is an amazing, amazing plant to use. And money trees can handle a little bit of heat. Not a bunch, but a little bit. So I'm actually gonna put this down plant it down right like that, and I'm gonna put this right here, right like that, okay? And then we have this beautiful tree right here. Now, we have found that ball pythons seem to really like trees. We're not talking vertical climbs. We're talking I can slither up at a nice 45-degree angle, and that's what we're gonna do. Now with this type of tree, I'm gonna be putting it on the cool side because I know that this tree is slightly more temperature sensitive. Now, you're asking yourself, well, this tree is gonna get big. It is gonna grow, but that's why we prune. It's gonna be a lot easier to prune the top of this tree and let it grow out to be able to give your ball python a little bit of sense of security. And here at the Dude, we've actually seen them literally snuggle into these thick branches here. You guys know I am all about a hide on the cool side and a hide on the warm side, creating different types of microclimates that go deep in the soil to help with shedding, respiration, and hydration. All of these things are extremely important. So here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this, and then I got some of this spag moss, and I'm gonna put that right under here. And then I'm gonna cover it up, right like this, creating an elevation change, like so. There we go. And from this, he or she will make an entire network of tunnels and burrows through here. And then we have this piece right here. Same principle. All right, here we go. And now you see all the spag I put over here on the top. Got a whole pile of it here. I'm gonna stuff it here at the very base. Look at that. 2 really, really nice hides that are gonna be able for them to even connect the two because the substrate is so deep back here that it gives them plenty of options. And we have a tree on either side. So now what I need is for something for our critter, if we wanna come out and bask, and yes, crepuscular animals do bask at dusk and dawn. I got a beautiful croton plant right here as well. Now the crotons can handle a little bit of heat, but if you have them directly under the heat bulb, it's gonna be a problem. So I wanna put this guy right here, right like this. Okay, so we have a really nice branch that allows us to have multiple places to perch or to rest. Here. I'm afraid this will be overkill. I actually like this. So one of the things to look at when selecting the plants for your ball python is obviously how easy they are to take care of. Number 2, do they release any harmful saps or irritants? Number 3, where did they come from? I don't care if you buy plants from me, Home Depot, a competitor, I don't care. No matter what, you have to disinfect your plants before you put them in your tank. Do not just get a plant from a grower and just throw it in here. You will regret it every single time, I promise you. So we're gonna put this beautiful pothos plant right here. Now, I already know that my water dish is gonna be right here. Now, this peperomia is gonna be a slightly more tricky, but it can definitely handle some heat. What we need is something right here that can handle a little bit of heat, and I got just the perfect plant. Okay, and here I have a snake plant, AKA a Sansevieria. This is a really, really, really good option and quite easy to keep alive. Put that right here like this. Okay, wonderful. And then we need something just to fill in a little bit back here in this corner. There we go. These snakes, they're going to lay on top of your plants. They're going to uproot your plants. They are going to smash them. So it's really important that, you know, to let your plants get established. If you're putting like a big heavy adult in here, it's also really important to make sure that as we continue to let everything progress, that you look at the signs your plants are giving you. Yellowing leaves, browning leaves, shriveling leaves, things like that. And I have two more plants. The first one is a beautiful bird's nest fern, which I am going to put right here. There we go. And then we have one of my favorites, and it grows out of what is almost an onion bulb. It's called a ZZ plant. And the ZZ plant, I'm actually gonna put right here. I'm gonna put this right here. All right. So just to kind of help get my plants some established, especially on the hot side, so where the heat bulb is going to be drying out the soil faster, I'm just gonna take a tiny bit of spag and I'm just gonna kind of put that around the base of each plant that I planted. Now what this is gonna do is just kind of help your green thumb just get slightly bigger. It's gonna help trap some of the moisture in more efficiently and retain the moisture a little bit more efficiently. So that way, when you missed your habitat, it does go a little bit longer for you with keeping that substrate happy and healthy without oversaturating it. With all the other terra firma setups, you want to make sure that with your substrate that it stays dry on the top and moist in the middle and bottom. You don't want puddles of water forming at the base. Every couple weeks, we recommend just putting your fingers all the way down to the bottom. If it feels completely dry and it's bone dry, that's a problem. There are a lot of opportunity zones here for these critters to be able to utilize. Again, we have a cool side here. We have a warm hide here. We have basking spots and areas to climb all throughout here. The final thing that I think I'm gonna add in here is I got these Oklahoma Creek rocks. All right, so guys, now what I'm doing is I'm watering all my plants. When you buy plants and take them out of the pot and put them in here, that stresses them out. They are a living thing, just like the animal we're putting in here, right? If it is a tree, such as these, you wanna give them a lot more water to start. And then we highly recommend letting the tank cycle for as long as you need to make sure that your humidity gradients stay consistent. With this nice clear front, you'll be able to easily distinguish your moisture layers in your terra firma. Dry at the top, moist in the middle and bottom, but we never ever have puddles of water down here. If you have standing water that sits down here, your substrate will stagnate. And when it comes to utilizing a drainage layer for ball pythons, we do not recommend it. They are not a tropical animal. They live in an area with savanna, grasslands that also has lots of trees and shrubs and bushes. So it's really important to not only give them areas to climb, but it is also important to make sure that they are able to get into a dry part of the habitat if necessary. Next, I'm going to take just a little bit more of the oak leaves. And I'm just gonna kind of spread a little bit of them around here, just giving the isopods a little bit of food. We have our springtails and we have our isopods. So within this habitat, we are putting in a mixture of Prasinus isopods and dairy cow isopods. Now with dairy cows, they are protein voracious isopods. It's really, really important that when you're keeping dairy cows, you make sure you have a lot of hardwoods in there. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put these guys right in here, let them get established. Like the dairy cows, the Prasinuses are very, very prolific. They will take over. So it's really important to just keep an eye on your isopod population. Now, if you are like me and you want to make sure that your isopods are thriving in your habitat and they are doing good, we introduced some new foods that are really cheap, between $4 and $6. They're called Isopod Crunchies. And all you need to do with these is you can literally just take one little piece, 1 to 2 little pieces of the krill, and just put it right here. What that's gonna do is give some of these critters a look. One of them's already making his way over there. And what that's gonna do is give these guys a little bit of something to eat as they are figuring out their new habitat. Now, what's really, really important is if you are going to feed them, remove any uneaten food within a day. Because the food left, if it molds or whatever, it can, you know, make your, look at it, took 30 seconds for the dairy cow to be like, yes, give me some. And what this can also do is help get them established. Because guys, like your plants, these isopods are a living animal. They feel stress and they get pressured from those stress just like we do, right? So we want to give them the best chance at survival, and providing them some extra type of food once a week, maybe twice a week in the habitat can help to get those colonies established faster. Okay, so here is one of our springtail cultures. Now, when you receive springtails from us, they are always going to be shipped in clay. You do not have to take the clay out. This is all you have to do. You're going to take your mister, and you're just going to do a little bit of a spray right like this. Look how they're all floating. Then you're going to take your culture, just going to dump them all on in there. And then all you need to do is once a week, put a little bit of Biodude springtail grub in here and mist it. And this will last you forever. All you need to do is open it once a week, give it some food, and you can use this one culture to keep reseeding all of your bioactive habitats. Now look at all these springtails in here. I'm gonna put a little piece of krill right there for them, just to help them out. Then last but not least, we have a Biodude Terra bowl. This is a perfect size for the critter that's going in here. And I'm gonna keep the water bowl right here so it's highly accessible. And then another trick that I like to do is, because we have isopods and springtails, we don't want them drowning in the water dish. I take a small piece of cork bark like this, and I put it right in here. Now, cork bark will always float. Doesn't get waterlogged. So when your cleanup crew or feeder insects, which doesn't apply to these guys, but if they get in there, this gives them something to climb their little bodies out of so they don't drown, poison the water, or anything like that. Now, when it comes to lighting, it is really important to maintain a proper photo period with these guys being crepuscular. So the first thing that we're going to be utilizing is a thermostat. I highly, highly, highly recommend using a thermostat with any animal that you're keeping. The probe for the thermostat we will be keeping right here, like right back here at the highest part of the hotspot, okay? And then plugged into the thermostat, we are going to be using the Arcadia Clamp Lamp Reflector Dome. I like it because it's made with really good materials that don't break, crack, or catch on fire. So we really like using that. And then we will use likely between a 50 watt and a 100 watt halogen bulb. It is different for every area. So we recommend making sure you have a thermometer in there, such as our Biodude thermometer hygrometer. Now let's go over UVB. We're going to be using our solar lamp fixture with a Arcadia 6%. Now this habitat has a screen top, okay? Now when you have a screen top with a UVB bulb on top of the screen is going to filter roughly 30% of your UVB after it crosses that screen threshold. So that's why we recommend going with a slightly higher spectrum. But let's say you have a PVC enclosure when you are mounting the heat bulb in a fixture and mounting the UVB on the inside of the tank. That is when this 6% is going to be too high, because that's going to put your Ferguson zone over 3. These guys like a Ferguson zone between 2 and 3%, so to speak. So that is when we like to then recommend the Arcadia Shade Dweller Max. This has a lower output than the 6% does. But the 6% after it crosses through the screen is going to be very similar to what the output of this bulb is on the inside of your tank. And then here is our plant light. So with the UVB, we recommend having a plant light to help keep your plants healthy. You cannot just use a UVB light to grow your plants. It will not work, your plants will die. This is your standard good LED light that does include a daisy chain. So you're able to connect this fixture to an Arcadia fixture or the Biodude solar lamp fixture. So that way all of your plant lighting and UVB lighting is under one plug. We do also offer a T5 grow light right here, okay? Now this is a T5 normal plant bulb. This bulb cannot go in an LED fixture. Can't do it. It has to go into the solar lamp fixture, okay? So, and that is because this is a T5 bulb. So we're gonna be misting this habitat once a day. And then once we kind of get a feel for how the temperature swings, the humidity swings, then we can come up with a more ironed out schedule. Our ball pythons, when they're young, they are fed every single week. We like to give them a 10 to 15% bump, meaning that when you look at your snake and after they're done eating, they're stretched just a little bit to show that they just ate. All right, guys, so we can see that we already have Springtails hopping on the krill here, and she is just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, guys, look at the snake. It's really important when you guys are selecting your ball python that you guys do your due diligence on the breeder. Do your due diligence on the morphs and the genetics, because there are a lot of kill genes in this industry that should not exist, and there are a lot of breeders in this industry that should not exist. So make sure you do your due diligence here. Look at this critter. She is so gorgeous. Hi, baby. I know, I'm sorry. But I love this habitat. I think it turned out really, really good. And good news, guys, at the beginning of 2026, we are opening up live animal sales on Bldg.com. So a lot of the highly sought after animals that we've been producing here in-house, we are now going to be making them available for purchase on our website, which is really, really exciting. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I really hope you found it informative. I've been looking forward to doing a build video for a long time. I don't get to do that very often anymore, unfortunately. But again, guys, my name is Josh. I am the owner and founder of the Biodude. You can find a care sheet for ball pythons linked below. You can also find really good information on reptiphiles.com when it comes to their care. You can visit my website, biodude.com. You can visit my store Monday through Saturday. And of course, hit that like and subscribe button, because boy, does it really go a long way. And y'all's support of Biodude, with us going into year 9, at the end of 2026, I will have reached 10 years in business. Yeah, I appreciate all of you very much. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. The dude abides.